Before Floyd Mayweather's Mexican exhibition rematch against John Gotti III, Mayweather was asked about a potential matchup with the Mexican boxing icon Julio César Chávez, to which Mayweather replied,
The father or the son? Or both in one night?
The father, Julio César Chávez, is boxing royalty, one of the greatest boxers to ever lace up a glove, and arguably the greatest boxer to ever come out of one of the greatest boxing nations on earth. The son, Julio César Chávez Jr., wasn't half the boxer his father was, but barely anyone is. Junior was no pushover though, and he won a world title, so you have to give him his due credit. Back to Mayweather though, the 47-year-old was just having a laugh. Then again, at this point in his boxing career, it was a fair question. Watching the highlights from his rematch with the grandson of the Godfather, it's clear that he can still box. He's a little softer around the middle than the lean fighting machine of his heyday, but he came up in weight to face a much larger man than himself, and he was still outweighed by 20 pounds. The impressive thing wasn't that he absolutely dominated Gotti. He's won titles in as many weight divisions as Gotti's grandfather was convicted of murder. It's that he still looked so sharp. His reflexes were still there, and he was landing heavy shots with force. You're not going to see that sort of thing from Chavez Senior. Like Mayweather, JC is retired, and he still loves the game, and he even gets into the ring on occasions for exhibitions and charities. His last such outing came in 2021, which wasn't that long ago, but let's be serious. For as good as Chavez was, he is now 62. His last professional bout was 19 years ago, and he was already too old to be fighting then. Mayweather is past his prime now, and Chavez is 15 years older than he is. At 38, Junior Chavez is 9 years younger than Mayweather, so it's far less likely that he'd die. Of the two, you'd hope it would be him for this reason alone. But he's not half the name his father is, which means he's a less lucrative offer for the man who only cares about money. To be honest, you'd hope Mayweather doesn't step into the ring with either of these men unless it was Chavez Senior, and it was more like a sparring session for a good cause. But it does make you wonder, how would that matchup have gone? Floyd Pretty Boy Mayweather versus Julio JC Chavez when they were at their respective primes. Their heights were almost identical. Floyd had a reach advantage. They both made names for themselves around lightweight. Mayweather's record isn't as long, and he doesn't have the wins or knockouts. But he doesn't have the losses either. Really, it's a match made in heaven. In one corner, you've got Mayweather, a defensive counter-striking genius who, according to CompuBox, has the most accurate hands in history. He throws less punches than his opponents, and he still lands more, which means he can go 12 rounds without slowing down. The big record Mayweather touts, though, is that he never lost a professional fight in his career. That's incredible when you see he holds victories over Canelo Alvarez, Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto, Shane Mosley, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Conor McGregor, just to name a few. Although McGregor doesn't mean much to anyone except Mayweather's accountant. In the other corner, you've got Julio César Chávez, the best example of the Mexican boxing style you can imagine. An aggressive swarmer with real power and a granite chin. Mayweather remembers what JC did to his uncle Roger twice, and it was Roger who taught Mayweather how to fight.
I competed against the best. The pedigree of the Mexico boxing is truly unbelievable, but I competed against the best. My Uncle Roger Mayweather, you talk about Julio César Chávez, he's an unbelievable fighter. My Uncle Roger fought him twice. He came up short, but he fought him twice.
Remember when Oscar De La Hoya almost beat a prime Mayweather via his relentless aggression? De La Hoya was already past his prime, but he took Mayweather to a contentious split decision and forced Mayweather into a temporary retirement to avoid the rematch. When Chavez was well past his prime, he fought a prime De La Hoya, who was 10 years his junior. and Chavez lost due to a cut he'd already opened in training. 6 years earlier, when Chavez was the guy to beat, he schooled the Golden Boy in sparring before age had taken its toll. Still, Mayweather beat De La Hoya, who beat Chavez, but we know that's not how boxing works. Joe Frazier, for example, beat Muhammad Ali. George Foreman absolutely destroyed Joe Frazier. And then Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman. Comparing fighters by fighters they both faced doesn't always work. So instead, let's compare their records. Floyd is a 5-division champion who holds the record for most consecutive world title fight wins with 26. Chavez only won world titles across 3 divisions, but he holds the record for most title fights won with 31 and the most defenses with 27. You've got to give title accomplishments to JC. Looking at the competition they faced, though, Floyd looks to be the clear winner. Against former or current lineal titleists, Mayweather went 12 for 12 with 3 knockouts. By comparison, Chavez won 5, lost 4, and he was lucky to escape with a draw when he faced Pernell Whitaker. Then there's Mayweather's 50-0 undefeated streak. It truly is remarkable. But Chavez won his first 87 fights straight and won more title fights in that time than Mayweather won in his entire career. He went his first 89 fights without a loss, and that smashes Mayweather to bits. It's perhaps too close to call, but Mayweather does have one thing over Chavez and every other boxer in history, and that's his net worth. Across his career, Money Mayweather generated approximately 24 million pay-per-view buys at $1.67 billion in revenue. For himself, he amassed an inflation-adjusted $1.2 billion, give or take a few million. Chavez was fighting before pay-per-view was a thing, and money wasn't what it used to be. But in 1993, his win over Greg Haugen at the Estadio Azteca set the record for the largest attendance for an outdoor boxing match, when 136,274 Mexicans came out to watch their hero. That's a record Mayweather will never get a chance to beat or even come close to.
Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.